Hey everyone, it's Logan here, and if you've been following any comic book related news at all, you know that DC Fandome is in full effect today. A big 24-hour live stream celebration, basically a convention in the times that now we can't have conventions. And one of the biggest announcements was that of Gotham Knights, a new Batman Arkham-style game by WB Montreal, the people who made Arkham Origins, and oh my god, am I excited to play this. However, it's already stirring up a lot of controversy due to the fact that, well, Batman's dead in it. Yes, in the first trailer that it was shown off, it was a code black that was initiated that Batman died. It seems like Wayne Manor was blown up as well, the Batcave. And now the only people who can protect Gotham are Robin, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Batgirl. And honestly, I think this is a super cool new direction. A lot of people are upset because they've, since Arkham Knight, they want a new Batman Arkham game. But I think that Gotham Knights could be the best Batman video game we ever get, despite not even having Batman. Also, if you think Batman's probably not going to come back, it's I would say 90% chance that he's going to come back in the crux of the game. But I know a lot of people are already upset and, just upset that Batman isn't here, not liking this. So I wanted to do this a little more freeform style, kind of give you my thoughts on why I think Gotham Knights seems so cool. And it'll be really fun. And just why people are just jumping to conclusions without a basis of a reason to be angry yet. So let's just go through. One of the best things I think about it is the fact that you have 4 playable characters now in the Bat family, because, this is my opinion. It's not, the most unpopular, but I think the Bat family is way more interesting than Batman. Yes, Batman's, one of the most popular superheroes ever, but it's just, he's kind of got very specific things. The Bat family is a lot more interesting in their moral aspects, in their, their comedic aspects. They're more fun to read and watch a lot of times. And just their dynamics as well with other people. Because Batman, even despite the fact that he has such a large, cast of supporting characters, Batman is generally portrayed as I work alone. And the best Bat writers, can mix that, working with his allies, but also kind of trying to stay distant thing. But not everybody can, so there's a lot more material out there where it's not as well written. But this, with no Batman in the picture, I think this is going to be a really good and interesting thing, because Red Hood is basically going to be more antagonistic than the rest of them. Nightwing and Batgirl will presumably be dating or married in this, because it's Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon. They're one of the most iconic comic book relations. And then Robin, unfortunately, not Damian Wayne, my favorite Robin, but it's Tim Drake, and he's a great character on his own. And with that, you can do the story potential of, the 3 Robins, Dick, Jason, and Tim, how people feel, how they feel about each other. Jason was always very antagonistic to Tim in the comics for taking up the mantle of Robin after he was killed by the Joker. So that's a really fun thing to play off of. Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, in this universe, Jim Gordon is dead, so that's another thing to play off of that's very interesting. I think you have a lot of unique story potential and a lot of good character interactions that can be had within this game. Also, yes, Batman and Jim Gordon are dead, and Barbara Gordon is Batgirl, and she's up and walking, because this is not the same universe as the Arkham Knight universe and all the Arkham games universes. And I think it offers a lot more story potential that way, because if this were just a sequel in the Arkham universe, we already know how some characters' stories end. We've already had a lot of experience, with Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy and Scarecrow. And this way, we've seen that Mr. Freeze is going to be in the game, but this way things can be different. You can add some more new story ideas that we haven't seen before, and certain characters can still be alive. Certain characters can have different motivations. And it all makes sense that way. Another thing that seems really cool about this game is just the gameplay itself. Batman, the Arkham games have some of the finest fighting combat in the game, and in superhero games, but just in video games in general. It always feels fun and fluid to play with them. However, this has the potential to be way different, because what it looks like, we haven't seen a whole ton of gameplay. There was a good 7-minute chunk, and that looked really fun. I'll put the link in the description, and you're going to see some of it on screen now. But it looks like it's going to be, all 4 of these characters are going to have a similar basis to Batman with the regular combat. But then Nightwing is probably going to play his DLC did, because I think there was DLC, unless I'm just, hallucinating. But for some of the older Arkham games, more athletic, jumping around more, lighter hits but faster, and, using his acrobatic experience, because he was a circus performer. Red Hood's going to be a lot more aggressive, I feel like. He's probably going to be tankier, stronger, and he's also got guns to use. And, I'm assuming this is going to be Rebirth Red Hood, where he's not actually killing people. It's just, rubber bullets and stuff. And so I think that'll be a very fun addition to this, finally being able to use actual weapons in these games. I think that'll be fun. I feel like Batgirl is going to be the most like Batman, maybe a little bit quicker, but she's also got some, batons. And, like, in the gameplay, she summoned a cloud of bats, which is crazy and awesome, and I don't know what's happening there, but it seems wild. And then after that, Robin, he also seems like he's going to be pretty similar to Batman, except he's got a staff because it's Tim, and he's, presumably going to be a lot more movement-based, because he also has a thing where he's able to hack into the Justice League watchtowers to do short teleportation. This is something people seemed very upset about, but honestly, I think this is a very cool idea that obviously it could be broken depending on how they do it, but if they implement it well, that could be so fun for combat. If you're surrounded by a bunch of goons and, teleporting around and able to, hit different ones at different times, distract them, and in boss fights, that could be really fun. You could play a lot more risky as well if you're fighting someone like Bane who likes to charge and swing wildly. You could, try to get in a few more hits on him before you teleport away. I think it could be a really cool risk versus reward scenario for that teleportation. And I don't think it's going to be anything, hopefully it's not going to be anything that's really, can teleport you all the way across the map or anything. I think it's going to be pretty localized. But another thing with these 4 characters that seems great is the fact that there's a lot of costume potential. Like, the Batman costumes have been good with all the games, but now, not only do you have costumes for everybody who you can do here, it's 4 characters, so more costumes. And, well, I think it would be a little bit cheap to do, like a Cassandra Cain and Stephanie Brown costume for Barbara Gordon's Batgirl, because those are very distinctive characters in their own rights, kind of annoyed that it wasn't one of them because, they're pretty great Batgirls on their own. But you could still possibly do their costumes if you could do it, in a tasteful way. But even other than that, you can do different Batgirl costumes like New 52, Batgirl Burnside, Rebirth, just tons of stuff like that. And then same with Nightwing and Red Hood. I swear, if they don't have a Disco Wing Nightwing costume, I'm going to be upset. And then, Red Hood and Robin as well. You can get different costumes for them. For Robin, you could even possibly have the other Robin's costumes. And I think it could be a lot more fun with customization. And speaking of that, it looks like there's an experience and leveling system. We don't know too much about this yet, but I think people are already getting upset about this as well. But I think what it might just be is essentially how you would unlock, like, ability points in the old Arkham games. I think it may just be a different implementation of that, and the levels are scaled to abilities, or ability points, essentially. And then, actually, this leveling system also seems like it might be better, because the creative director, or someone during the gameplay presentation was talking about how villains and bosses will be scaled differently in their power and strength depending on your level. So, like, Mr. Freeze, like, if you're at level 5, he's not going to attack as hard, he's going to use, less difficult moves to avoid. And so I think this really will hit the perfect sweet spot for people who play Batman, because you have some people who just, who casually play video games. You got some people who play a lot, and you got some people who are like hardcore 100% completionists. And by hitting different level ranks, it gives experiences that can be tailored to everyone, so everyone can enjoy the game to the fullest. And that way as well, if you're just trying to rush through the game, not doing side quests and, all that extra stuff to level up, not just to level up, but to do it and also level up, you're not going to be at a huge distinct disadvantage, which I think is a great thing to do. Add on to that the fact there's co-op in this. Sadly, no couch co-op, but, most games don't have that. And it looks like it's just 2-person co-op. It may be 4. I'm not sure on that. Either way, I think that can be really fun, because this doesn't seem like an Avengers game scenario where it's like kind of built around co-op and you go to different stages and you can do different teams. This, it seems more like it is a single-player game, and also you can have someone join you in co-op with your friends. And I think that's a very cool idea. It can, it's going to be cool to see if they have, or not see if they do have unique character interactions, like seen in the Mr. Freeze, like Batgirl and Robin have unique interactions when they're going through it themselves, and they'd probably have different voice lines if they were alone than with each other. Add on to that Gotham is huge and looks beautiful, and even though it's not in the Arkhamverse, you can just lift Gotham from the previous games, obviously touch it up more, but you can lift it, and so they already have a strong basis to build off of there, and I think that's going to be really helpful as well for fleshing this out. Same with adding more villains and stuff, like Arkham Knight did great. They even had friggin' Professor Pig in Arkham Knight, stuff like that. Get to the weird section of Batman's Rogues Gallery. So you take all that together, the experience from the games, and then the biggest one, aside from Batman not being alive, which I think is cool story potential, and it'll probably come back in the climax of the game anyway, aside from the 4 players, one of the coolest things is going to be the Court of Owls. It is such a cool comic storyline. I recommend you go read it if you haven't. And just the way it's going to tie into Gotham and, tie into Gotham Knights and these characters and the fact that, spoiler for the story, but Dick Grayson is related to them. That could be really well intertwined. And even Scott Snyder, the writer of that story, was brought on to consult the story for this game. So I have complete faith it's going to be great. And just, the game looks beautiful. I love all the costumes they have now. I like how Robin kind of has a poncho. Very practical for Gotham City because it rains all the time. I like how they have different costumes for when Freeze shows up. It looks great. People are trying to bash the graphics. I feel like that's just kind of a cop-out thing when they're just grasping for things. If you have a legitimate criticism about the graphics, explain it. But to me, it looks like it looks less 100% detailed as Arkham Knight, but also looks a little bit more stylized than Arkham Knight. So I think it's a good balance they strike there. And it's just, man, I'm excited for this game, and people have been bashing it, and I want you to know that it's okay to be excited about this game. I really do think if they pull it off correctly, it could be better than any of the Arkham games because they have experience with the gameplay, they've got experience with Gotham, they can do new things with the villains, and presumably, if Batman comes back at the end, you can probably play the game over as just Batman if you want. And so, that'll appease those people who want Batman. And the fact that, we get the Bat family, a criminally underrated group of characters in the comics, criminally underrepresented with, their interactions. We get a video game for them. And if you don't care about the rest of them, you can have a Batgirl video game or a Nightwing video game or a Red Hood video game or a Robin video game. Something that, wouldn't be possible otherwise. So yeah, I got to say, I'm looking forward to Gotham Knights. I'll be talking about it more on this channel. Comes out in 2021. It looks fun. I love how they're getting niche with the comic characters here. And yeah, I can't wait. And so let me know what your thoughts are on this trailer. Do you think it looks better or worse than the Arkham games? Are you cautiously optimistic, heavily optimistic? Do you hate it, or are you just kind of meh on it? Let me know what you feel about it. And if you think, there are certain aspects that they could easily change, certain aspects you would want them to change from the Arkham games to make it better. So yeah, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.